Hi there, it's Karen at Corrie Papercrafts here, independent Stampin' Up demonstrator in central Scotland. Welcome back to another Simple Sundays project, and this week it's this little gift bag here, which was inspired by a box that I got recently with some sweeties in it. So I had a look at it and thought I could probably do something kind of similar. The box that I got had a window in the middle on the front, but I decided that because it's a Simple Sundays project, I would keep it simple. So I used a sheet of designer series paper from the Pleased as Punch DSP pack, which is currently in our coordination products, and the sentiment is from the So Sentimental stamp set. It's a cling stamp set and it's currently in our spring summer mini catalogue, and I've already mounted the stamp onto a block ready to use. So I'll put this to the side and I'll let you see how I made it. Excuse me. So you'll need a piece of DSP which measures 9.5 inches by 11.25 inches, and if you have a directional paper, make sure that when you're cutting your 9.5 inch side that your pattern is up and down the way. So you want the pattern to be up and down on the short length, and the long length, your pattern would essentially be lying on its side, if that makes sense. So let's do some scoring, and I apologise for the glare. I can't really change my desk around, it's not that big a desk to get rid of the glare from the light, so we'll just do the scoring really quickly. So on the short side, the 9.5 inch side with your pattern which would be going up and down the way, score at 1/2 inch, 3 3/4, 5 and 8 1/4. Turn it round and score at 1 and at 8, and that's all your scoring. So let's get that scoreboard out of the way and just fold and burnish on all the score lines, just making sure that it all lines up as you go. So how are you all? Are you well? Are you keeping safe? We're in kind of uncertain times just now, so I'm trying to do a little bit more crafting perhaps than I would normally do, just to kind of sort the stress levels and do something happy and relaxing. I hope you're managing to do the same without ignoring the issues that we all have at the minute as well. If you're self-isolating, I hope you're okay. My husband and I are both self-isolating just now and working from home with our day jobs because we've had a bit of a cough and a sore throat, so we're hoping that it's nothing serious and that it'll all pass, but we're doing the right thing in the meantime. So I've done all my burnishing and scoring, and I've got my shorter panel here and my wider panel here, and we're going to remove a few bits first. So this is going to be the bit with a panel that comes over at the top like this, and this is actually the bottom of my bag here. So looking at the bottom first, it's probably easier to see it on this side. We have 2 smaller rectangles and 2 larger rectangles in this little rectangle at the end here, which we're going to remove completely. So let's do that, and remember, just taking the score line as you go, remove that onto that little panel and cut a bit of a wedge here, and then we're going to remove this thinner part at the top as well, so we might as well just do that just now. Again, removing the score line as we go, but not cutting too far into this panel here. I probably could have cut that a little bit straighter, mind you. I've got a little wobble here, but it's not too bad, so I'll just trim it with a go. I'm not really going to notice it. And then these are going to form the flaps for the base, so as usual, cutting the straight edge on the longer rectangles and wedging into the smaller ones and taking that score line as we go. let's do the same on this bit here, just up to that first score line there. So there we are. So that's what you should be left with as far as the bottom and this side of the bag are concerned. So for the top, this square here, I think you can see where the score lines are. This square here we're going to keep, but these 3 panels here we're going to remove completely. So I'm going to turn it round, and first of all I'm going to cut down this score line, but just slightly off from the score line, so that I'm removing that on the part that we are removing. If you can see that here, you maybe can, I'm not sure. And then I'm just going to grab a bigger pair of scissors and hopefully cut it straight this time. I'm not very good with big scissors, but it can get a little bit awkward if I use my paper snips to cut off such a big piece of paper. But I'm not good with big scissors at all, so here's hoping this will be straight, or as straight as I can manage it. It's not brilliant, but if I just kind of give that a little trim where it's gone a bit wonky, there we go, I think that's okay now. That'll do anyway. So this is what we're left with. Oh gosh, I have gone a bit squint on that flap, but hopefully it won't be too noticeable. Maybe I should just stick to my wee scissors. And before I do anything else, I'm going to just bring in my trio punch here and just, I don't think that worked very well, did it? Yes, it did. Round the corners on the flap. There we go. So I'm going to grab my tearing tape and I'm just going to add some tape along this section here near the folded edge, like that, without overlapping it completely. That's been a bit squint as well. I'm obviously having a squint day, maybe I need a cup of tea. And then I'm going to just pop a little bit of tape. I need to turn it over to what is essentially the right side of my bag and add a bit of tape just onto each of these little flaps here to help hold it in place when I put the base together, and then turn it back. And this is going to be the flap that we stick down last, so I'm going to add a couple of bits of tape onto that, but because it doesn't fold completely over the bottom, I'm not going to put my tape much beyond there, because when I put the base of the bag together, you can maybe see on this one, doesn't make completely, but that's because I wanted a little bit more width here as well as a little bit of height, so it doesn't quite match on the bottom, but that's okay. So ask me how many times I've forgotten that when I've been putting bags together, more than I care to admit. So I'm just going to give these a little burnish with my paper folder just to make sure they're well stuck down, and then I'm going to stick the bag together. I'm just going to fold that over and bring this part over here. Oh, that wasn't meant at all, but that joins perfectly and joins all those flowers together, which is fabulous, but that wasn't intended at all. And I'm just going to reinforce these score lines. Now, if you're making quite a lot of these for a party or Easter treats for workmates or family or whatever, you could actually make them up to this stage and then just fold them all flat until you're ready to put them together and pop your sweeties in. It doesn't fold flat once you've put your base together though, so just be aware of that as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop these side panels in, then the base, the back flap, and then the front flap. That's how that's going to work. So I'm just going to take the backing off of these side flaps here. Try and keep my bag square. Pop those in and then just make sure I line up the sides of this back flap as they catch on the tape, and not warp the bag out of shape too much, because it is DSP, it's not card, so it will move more because it's a lot more pliable, so just be careful as you're putting it together. And the same with this flap here, just making sure that I line that up. If you get a little bit of overlap, which I do have there because it's gone a little bit squinty, just cut it off with your snips and it'll be fine. And these are getting a little bit sticky, I need to clean them. And then all I'm going to do here is pop my fingers in and give it a gentle squeeze, and not squeeze it completely until I'm happy that those corners all line up. And as you can see, you get a bit of natural resistance, which gives it a little bit of shape. And then I'm just going to bring this flap over. You can see my squinty bit a wee bit, but it's not too bad. And all I'm going to do is just tie a little bit of ribbon round. So I've actually got my metallic edged ribbon in Whisper White, and it's 1/4 of an inch thick, I think. No, 3/8 of an inch. And I'm just going to make sure that I have enough to wrap round my bag and tie it in a bow at the front. Here are my ribbon scissors. Here we are. So about there. Oops. About there probably. Tie it in a bow at the front. And I'm not too bothered about whether or not it's straight. Once the bow's tied, I maybe could have done with a longer piece of ribbon, but hopefully, oops, there we go. I probably could have done with a longer piece of ribbon, but we'll go with that for now, I think, just to let you see how to make the bag. But yeah, I probably would have used a longer piece of ribbon, but we'll go with it anyway. And then I just need to stamp my sentiment. So I need a scrap of Whisper White card, and I used Blushing Bride for this one, but this time I'm actually going to use Balmy Blue. And there just happen to be a few more blue flowers that I can see on this bag anyway, but certainly not at the front, so this is going to add an extra bit of blue to the front. Oops. And I'll just pop it down there. There we go. Close my ink pad. And then I used the tailored tag punch, this one here, just to cut this out because it actually fits this sentiment perfectly. So I just lined it up, made sure I was happy before I punched it out. I just gripped it slightly. Once I was happy, gave it a squeeze and punched it out. And then with a scrap of Balmy Blue, I just want to punch out another one to add the coloured surround. And all I did with the Balmy Blue was I just cut it in half. And with my liquid glue, I popped a little bit of glue on here. Oops. And added this part on this side. Oops. And just made sure it was all lined up at the sides and it had an equal border round, so just give it a bit of a squeeze for a minute or two to let that glue take. And then the same again, a bit here and a bit here. Maybe just a little bit too much there because I don't want that to squish out at the edge. Let's just pull that over a little bit. And I did the same again. Come on. I just made sure it was equal on both sides like so. And again I just held it for a minute or two until I was sure that that glue had taken. There we are. That'll do, I think. Probably could have had a slightly bigger border there, but that's okay. Quite happy with that. Put the lid on my glue, grab some dimensionals, put one back of my sentiment, one either side, so that it goes over the top of the ribbon. And I just popped it on the front about there. And the one thing I have forgotten to do, apart from the fact that I've got glue all over my my sentiment, is I've not added my little rhinestones, but I'll do that now. And I used the medium-sized ones, still addicted to the champagne rhinestones, and I just popped one on either side of my sentiment. Come off like that, and that's your bag made. So hopefully I didn't make that look more complicated than it was. Let me see if I can just get that little bit of glue off. These eraser adhesive erasers are absolutely brilliant, but you do need to make sure that your glue's dry before you actually use it, or you'll just pull the card. So there we are, slightly shorter ribbon than it maybe should have, but that's my simple bag for today. So you can make this with 1 pack of paper, 1 pack of card if you don't want to put the colours around it, or you could buy a multi-pack from each of the families and just not have it as a white piece of card on the sentiment, or just use white and not have the colours around. 1 really ribbon, 1 stamp set, 1 ink pad, and if you want 1 pack of embellishments as well. So I hope you liked that, and I hope to see you again very soon with another project. If you haven't already subscribed, I would love it if you would subscribe and press the little bell icon so that you get a notification when I next post a video. And as I say, just with our current situation, I'm hoping to be able to see you again just a little bit more often, so that we can escape a little bit for a little while at least. So keep well, keep safe, and take care until I see you next time. Bye bye.